Ooh, let's see what we got. Whoa! Can you hear me, Q?
Oh shoot. Moke, I've been talking like crazy. I've been going all up and down, and I just realized I was muted. And yeah, I was just muted, and I didn't unmute myself.
There
And
we go.
I
Okay.
don't feel like going back over everything. I got done talking for like 3 minutes on rules and stuff like that, and I was muted and I didn't realize it.
I was like,
And
maybe it's my phone that's tripping because it's
no,
usually my phone is always tripping. I
it
was
was
like, let me
me.
log out and log back in.
And I'm not going back over all that again. I'm just talking and talking. I ain't going back over all that. Hey, free thinkers, you know how we roll. Adult content, adult language.
Right.
Bring some earbuds.
There you go. Go to the
Make sure you
page.
go to the page. You can
Hit
get
the
on the
share
link if you
button.
got questions. Share, like, comment. You can get in, comment if you like, and also if there's if you get on late, that's all right. You can jump on late. If you got to jump out early, then that's all right too. I think Nikki's still having some issues, but that's
Lord, technical difficulty.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Now
so that's that. I'm gonna go to my page real quick and just make sure on my personal page I've got the video marked as private because or public, so that way comments will show up.
I was about to say why you
no, I'm making it. I want to make sure that it is public, so that way if anybody comments from that page, it'll show up on our screen here. All right, so you did the whole shebang. Yes. Sorry, I'm just pushing buttons on here. I have a good list, and I know that you said
I'm ready.
Well, you said and you had a good list last week, and we barely got to scratch the surface. So hopefully, we'll have some interesting conversation. It's funny. I was rewatching last week's video, and I missed where you said in the beginning of the show that you were like, "I'm gonna hard close, even if it's mid sentence."
Yeah, I was telling you. I'm like,
So when you kicked us off last week at 9:30 and 2 seconds, I was like, damn, he was not joking when he said hard close. I don't care if it's mid-sentence. We leaving at 9:30. At 9:30 it was.
So I told
9:30 it was. All right. So we're talking about etiquette. I don't know how much of that you were able to share or if any of that was audible, but we're talking about part 2 of etiquette again. Was there any that you had on your list last week that we didn't get to that you're like, dang, I really wanted to talk about that one?
Well, I just have categories. So when it came to,
I think too.
We talked about kind of the dating etiquette and relationship etiquette. And I think I went through all of those. Some of them I glanced over a little fast, but I touched on all of them pretty much from those two standpoints. Now, let me ask you first before you go into your list. Do you have anything else to add to the etiquette as far as relationships and dating?
So I had one that came to my mind, and it was about sex.
Oh, so
it was.
How did I forget that wonderful topic?
I know, right? It was a sex etiquette question, and I mean, and there's and I only got so far because in my mind I was like, well, these rules could be different for a dating couple versus a couple who's in a committed relationship, right? Like maybe they are, maybe they aren't. So I didn't really go too far into delving into sex etiquette or sex manners for that matter. But when I did pull up, so I Googled today the difference between etiquette versus manners, because we kind of had that conversation last week where we were all just kind of giving our own thoughts about that. And etiquette is essentially like universal codes that are supposed to make the world a better place. And manners is what behaviors you take on, the behaviors that you take on personally that reflect who you are. So I was like, and I think we all kind of probably had that as our baseline for what etiquette is versus manners. Ironically, did you see the post that I tagged you in earlier this week or late last week? I guess it was after the show last Tuesday, where a man was shot for.
Yeah, I saw that.
Was
there a full story to it? Or is that just the clip? Because I don't believe
I think I had posted just the clip of it, so I didn't read into too many details. Unless I see
the whole story, I don't believe that stuff. Like I hate when people try to simplify, because then what happens is, especially when it comes to Black people, it almost gives us a savage type of vibe. Where you open the door for him, I'm gonna shoot you. Look, 99% of the time, it's not that simple.
Right.
They shot somebody over. Now sometimes it can be stupid, but oftentimes either it's past beef or it's an argument that escalates out of proportion. But it's not as simple as you open the door for these ladies, bang bang. Like, no, that's not the way it's not the way it works, and I don't believe that. I don't believe
it just caught my attention because I was like, damn, we just talked about how you had said you were not a fan of holding open a door for another woman, especially in the presence of her man or what will be presumed to be her man. Like, you'd rather just let him get the door, you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. And that seemed interesting to some people last week. I think Sergio seemed to be taken aback by that a little bit. But then I read that thing come up a couple days later, and I was like, "Damn, you never really know. You really never know somebody's
that's not
mindset."
The reason. Like, directly, that's not the reason that I'm looking like it's going to be a fight or confrontation. But I'm more so, I love. I don't want to step on anybody's toes when it comes to their relationship or their chemistry, and some of that stuff can cause friction. That's all. And oftentimes it causes friction that you never even see. It's one of those things where when they get back home or when they get in the car, now they got a whole argument off of something that was really nothing. And those are the things that I prefer to keep people away from.
I don't know why my light keeps turning off. I'm sorry.
But I'm never in the space where I'm scared somebody gonna try to fight me or shoot me because I opened the door for. Nah, that's some other type of stuff. Right.
But in the space, I understand what you meant when you said it last week. All right, let's see if I can keep this stupid line. Okay, so my thought about sex etiquette, right?
Okay, I can't believe I didn't. Okay, go ahead.
That's how you know you are. That's how you know you super booed up. So
no, hey, you ain't. I got another show, and I don't know. I thought about dating and relationships, but I didn't think about sex being its own category for some reason. I don't know why.
And I don't know if these are even manners or etiquette, as opposed to just personal preference. Maybe.
Oh shoot! I got some. Okay. Go ahead.
So we'll run down this list, and whoever's listening, let us know where you are watching us from. We definitely have realized that we are being shadow banned quite a bit, meaning we see right now there are 2 people watching. And then when we get off this show, there will be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 views on here. So many times one of my girlfriends will hit me up after the show and be like, hey, I was listening to y'all.
Right. I get that all the time.
Said this. And I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that you was watching. So if you're watching us right now, well, obviously, right? Let us know where you're watching us from. Are you catching us on my page, on Free Thinkers, on Facebook, on YouTube? Let us know where you're watching us from, because we literally do not get heads up that anybody is watching us. So we have no idea who's watching us when we're going live. We just see that the number fluctuates.
And I get a swarm of people telling me about they watch the show, like way more than what the numbers. And you know what? I think before we get into this, I think what it is, I personally think that they try to push your numbers down in hopes that you will pay.
Oh, sure.
In order to, well, you want to get some numbers up, then give us this amount of money to boost your views, and we don't do that.
No, we're not going to do that.
I think it's a trick that they do. Yeah, it's a trick.
No. All right, so in the world of sex, is there such thing as etiquette or manners? I believe that absolutely yes. There's etiquette in everything that you do. Okay. This was something that came up quite a while back. I don't even know really how you say this.
You just say it.
I know.
Giggling and blushing. And
I know. The fact that it's caught me off guard, right? Okay, so the first one I wrote down was the sex towel, right? The sex towel.
The sex towel.
Because there has to be an etiquette, there has to be manners to this, right? So my first thought was, who is responsible for getting up and getting the sex towel?
Whoever's on top. My first
thought was whoever's, so if you're not together, right? You don't live together. Whoever's house you're at, they should be the one that's responsible for getting up and getting the towel. Like that's I mean, I don't have company over here very often, but in the event that such thing were to happen, I don't think it would be most men's, most men wouldn't prefer to go into a woman's bathroom and like try to find a towel and so on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like whoever's house you're at is responsible for getting up and getting the towel.
That's a good one.
Okay, so then part 2 to the towel, and there's a part 3. Part 2, is the towel dry or is the towel wet?
Lukewarm. Oh, wet.
No, we didn't get to the temperature yet.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is the towel dry or is the towel wet?
It absolutely needs to be wet.
Okay, I agree. I wholeheartedly. I mean, a wet towel is gonna, wipe up some stuff, but like you want to get cleaned up a little bit in the interim, right? So you got to have a wet towel. And then the third part to that question is the towel like room temperature will come out the faucet, or do you let the water run warm and make the towel be warm?
Oh yeah, I go very lukewarm to hot.
Absolutely. I think it is unbelievably rude to have somebody bring you a cold, wet towel.
And I didn't know this at first. So this is what I was thinking, because, sometimes you want something cold. This sounds so terrible. Mama don't watch this.
Cold a little bit, just like a little bit.
You gonna want something cold because they say you want, like ice brings down swelling, right? And if I've been beating it up, then I'm like, hey, you might want it cold to,
snap it back a little bit. You
So that's that was my thought process. So I mean, I guess if you have sex on a regular basis, you probably ask the person, you prefer a warm towel, super warm, hot, wet towel, or you want a cold one. Most people like a lukewarm one, but I mean,
I've never not gotten a towel warm. Like I've never presented a towel to a man that I just had sex with and was like, here's a cold towel for you. Like, I mean, unless he's somewhere out the blue, it's like, man, I don't like hot towel. I don't like a warm towel. Like, who doesn't like a warm towel when you cleaning yourself up? Like, so one time, this fella that I knew brought me a cold towel. And I was like, you gonna have to go back in there and let that motherfucking water run. Because if you think bringing me this cold ass towel when I done brought you numerous warm towels is reasonable.
Now that makes sense. Now, if you have brought warm towels before, why would somebody expect that you want to
exactly?
That's not paying attention.
What? So is that bad manners? Is that not paying attention? Is it the same thing? Like, shouldn't it be a default switch? Am I tripping?
Yeah, it's a lack of awareness, but I don't know what that falls under. But I don't think it's the end of the world. But it's like, really, it's one of those things that don't mean nothing, but it says something. It's
right? Like, maybe it doesn't mean anything until it doesn't happen.
It don't mean nothing, but it's like, do you pay attention? It's something that it could be a slight eyebrow raiser.
And maybe some people don't care. Like maybe some people it's really not a big deal for them, but it just, I noticed shit. I was like, you seriously brought me this cold ass wet towel? Like, go ahead and stand back in there and let that water run and get this towel proper.
Moke said 5-star towel is, he said warm towel is 5-star service.
Who said that? I can't see it. Moke. I mean, so when you get your beard, when you get your beard trimmed and you get your face trimmed and you get your hair cut, like they put a hot towel on your face. Like I just don't know how anything but a hot or warm towel would be expected in that situation. So that's just the one that came to my mind when I wrote sex down as a category. I was like, ooh, that towel.
Well, let me give another one, another side to that. When you say who gets the towel, number one, I think first priority is whose house it is. Right. But then the second priority, I'm like, who's on top? If you on top, you already in a better position.
Right.
Get up and go get the towel. Whoever on top, get up and go get the towel.
You might gotta lay there for a second.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, the first thought is whose house it is. My second thought is who on top. And then my third thought is who really put that work in.
I was thinking that too.
Who put that work
in? There's been a few times where it's like, I know I'm gonna have to go ahead and get them. You think go and go.
Yeah, sometimes who put the work in? You like, all right, look, let me go.
Look, that's when you say fuck it and just pull the pillowcase off and just be like, hell, we're gonna do this.
Ask them you need some water, what you need, how many ice cubes you need.
No, we already got that before we come up here. No, we already got the water, we got the ice cubes, we got all the things that are needed. We ain't gonna get up later. My other one in the sex category was telling your partner you're about to finish. Like letting the person know that you're having sex with, that you're about to come.
Like yes.
And I think this is obviously a personal preference, right?
Give them a 15 to 30 second heads up. Give them
I think it is absolutely rude. I really do. I think it's absolutely rude if you're having sex with somebody and they don't tell you it's about to happen and then they just do. Like,
right.
My thought behind this is, do you know how much magic happens when you tell your partner what you're about to do? Do you know how phenomenal it gets at that point? Like, it's weird to me that sometimes people won't tell you when they're about to come. It's so weird to me.
That is so true. That is true. Because now if the other person, if they right in range, then they were like, hey, I'm coming with you. Here we go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Let me speed this up real quick.
Give them the opportunity to jump on the wagon and be on the ride with you.
And I don't care if you're doing, I don't care if you're having sex with protection or without protection. Like, there's still an energy that takes place when you know your partner is about to come. Like, you know it's about to go down. Like, so why would you not tell the person you're with that you're selfish? That's so weird to me.
Selfish.
But even if the partner got theirs numerous times, the individual still just doesn't tell you it's about to happen. It's fucking weird to me. I think that is, to me, that's a weird. That's weird.
A good one.
That's weird. That's weird. I think you need to tell your partner when you're about to come. And if anybody's listening to this and they're like, damn, she talk about me. Like, I don't never say when it's about to happen. Tell your partner the nenext time you're about to come and watch what happens. And then come back and report to us and tell us what kind of fireworks went off at that particular moment.
Because the moment one of y'all say it, then it's... It goes up a couple levels right after that.
And I get it. Like, I get that some people will say, well, I don't want to tell the person because I don't want them to change positions, change the rhythm, change the flow. Like, I don't want to lose it. Yeah. And that's understandable. But somebody who you truly having a good sexual relationship with is never going to let you lose it. They're going to make sure.
And let me say, someone who got that right connection and they're in tune with you and they really want you to get yours. Also, like, hey, when they tell me that, look, whatever I was doing, I'm staying right there. I ain't changing nothing up. I'm like, all right, look, right here. I want you to right there. That's where I'm at. Till you say otherwise. I want you to get all of it.
It may be some little extra little tricks that come with it, but I ain't moving. I ain't gonna slow the motion. We're gonna keep it right here. But it's just, I don't know. That's a thing for me. I was with somebody. I'd been with somebody off and on for a while who was just funny like that. And no matter how many times I would tell him, tell me when you're about to do that, I would say,
you just not have any control.
70% of the time, maybe that's the case. 70% of the time, he just wouldn't, and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, well, all right. I guess that's that." You know, in his selfish defense, he would always be like, "Well, it's my turn at this point now," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, of course it is, but still, like, again." Magic happens in that moment, fellas. Tell your woman when you're about to come that it's about to happen, and watch how she clamp up down on you and make that shit go through the roof. Tell her. I absolutely agree with that.
I absolutely agree with that.
So that was one of my sex lists, and then the last one on my sex list was making sure that a woman gets hers first. Especially if you are a man.
Oh, no, that's a little tricky. That's a little tricky.
But if you're a man that doesn't have a lot of stamina, really and truly, like if you're a man that has low testosterone, like if you're a man that, it's just whatever. Like, and I feel like most good lovers are going to make sure.
You're saying more in a either monogamous or repeated sexual relationship.
Say that again.
Like either you're in a monogamous relationship or you're in a repeated relationship to where you guys have sex on a regular basis. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I think any relationship, anytime that you're having sex with somebody, like a man should be making sure that a woman gets hers first before he gets his.
I agree. There's certain side. What if the woman don't know how to get hers?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There are women who don't know how to get themselves off. They don't know how to get themselves to that place.
I know. So and I guess that could be a different scenario, right? Because that woman might just be enjoying the act of sex altogether, the act of foreplay, the act of oral sex. Like she may be able to have pleasure in all of those things. So let's say that she doesn't have the issue with being able to have an orgasm. Let's say she absolutely 100% knows how to orgasm, can orgasm. And I get that all cases are not the same. Sometimes it's just been a minute. Sometimes the shit's just good. Sometimes it's just juicy. Sometimes just be what it is. You've been drinking, whatever. Yeah. Like sometimes you come quick. I get it. But it's the repetitive sessions with the lover that they clearly are not worried about you getting yours at all. They just getting theirs, and then they'll try to do something afterwards, because now your dick ain't no good. now it's gonna be 20-30 minutes before we even catch a round two. So I just think it's important, especially in a more repetitious, I guess, sexual relationship with somebody, that a woman definitely needs to get hers first. Give her hers first.
I agree.
Or 2 or 3 or 4, however many she get off.
I agree with that.
Can. And then
assuming she knows how to get hers, and assuming that, if she knows her body and she knows how to get off, because half of it is you, half of it is you, half of it is her.
Sure.
But if she knows how to do her half, then you do your part, and yes, I do agree with that.
Okay.
That's general sentiment. Now here's another one of my casual sex etiquettes, and some people may disagree with this. Don't ask, how was it?
Oh, right.
That is like, I just think that's the word. Don't ask, how was it? I just think I don't think don't ask that question. Men or women, don't ask. Don't ask. Men or women, don't ask.
I agree. Don't ask. It goes along with, like, don't be looking for some shit that you might not want to see, because
number one, what did the experience tell you? What did her or his body language tell you?
Right.
And then a little bit longer down the road, if there's a repeat request, then you know
the answer to the question.
If they don't request you no more, then you probably didn't.
Is that the same thing as you? Let's say you and maybe a newer partner, right? I mean, I say that, but like, I was with the same
Mama
person.
Don't watch this, but I fully agree with that. And let me take it.
What do you say? I can't see.
Oh, he says, Mama Don't watch this. Okay. If I come quick, I'll eat that thing till she do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we would, and honestly, a grown ass woman is going to expect that, really and truly.
Or this is the other thing. This is the other thing. And if she can have orgasms by getting head, knock one of them out first before you even get to the get that. Pop that off ahead of time before you even get started.
Absolutely. That needs to go in the foreplay category. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I feel like when a man gets a hold of a woman who can have multiples and who can have them in just about any way that you can give them to her, he should be playing that shit up, in my opinion, and call me crazy, but I would think that most men would go nuts, no pun intended, for a woman like that.
I think
what do you say?
I think if I know who this is writing this question down.
I don't know why it's not showing up who the user is.
I think it might be Smack, because I saw Smack on there earlier. So Smack said, "Are you eating before you stick in, or are you stick in and eat?"
I mean, if you going in first without eating it, you better pull it out and eat it. I'm just saying, but you definitely better eat it first. Period. Just end the story.
I mean, it's like a Big Mac. Before, after, you just in between, at the end, at the beginning, all of that. Just
before, middle, end, absolutely. Yes. So this is where sexual compatibility is very important. And as I've gotten older and I've learned my body and what I like and what I don't like I haven't had a whole lot of motherfucking partners. But I'm very particular about what I do and what I don't like. So when I come across a lover who definitely does not meet the standards that I have, that's some disappointing shit. And I'm only going to work with you so long. And I get that some people, you obviously have to learn a new person's body. You have to learn what people like. Like, you have to learn your language when it comes to sex. I get that. But a repetitious cycle of just like lazy, inattentive, boring sex. Yeah. He said I'd be selfish. Sometimes I don't say shit. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that was Smack that said that. It's showing up on Facebook, but it's not showing up on the screen.
So okay. So any more and guys in the comment thread, are there any sex etiquette tips that you have as well that you abide by?
Yeah,
If
fellas,
so,
what rules would you have for the women? What etiquette do you have for the women who are performing? I mean, Lord knows you just gave the female's perspective of expectations. What do men expect?
okay, let me get some
a
more
woman with
etiquette.
good manners in bed or good etiquette in bed?
All right, this some etiquette. What's time? By 10 o'clock, you need to be out the door.
In the morning?
Yes.
The next day.
That's the latest. At the latest. If you're not leaving that night, then by 10 o'clock, don't hang around and force. And that goes men and women. Don't hang around and force somebody to be like, all right, well, what you about to do? It's like, yo,
right.
Time to move around. Like, especially you're not in a relationship. If you're having a casual sexual experience, either I know a lot of people, hey, they leaving out that night. If you are sleeping or staying to the most people up before the sun come out, or at the latest. You can't
sleep well in somebody else's house. You know you ain't sleeping solid.
Yeah, don't just hang around. Like, you leave before somebody tell you that you need to leave. Don't be that person.
I agree. Get the hell up out of there.
Yeah, don't hang around.
Get the hell up out of there. Okay, so lady needs to leave by 10 o'clock in the morning. What if she's trying to make you breakfast? Like, did you ever get to a point where you're like, damn, this bitch is not trying to leave. She's trying to make me breakfast. She's trying to give me some head.
I mean, make breakfast at 7 o'clock and be out the door before. But yeah. And that's casual. I mean, if you're dating, it's one thing, but casual, like y'all don't have those type of ties together. Don't try to, and don't overplay your hand. If it's casual, don't do the boyfriend girlfriend type stuff. Some of that stuff you out of bounds. Don't tell nobody. And like, this is gonna sound crazy, but some people know what I'm talking about and they've had this before. If you're having a casual sexual experience, or even like, say you got a repeat partner that y'all come get it in, don't start catching feelings and then telling them that you don't tell people that you. Okay, let me say this: don't tell nobody. The first time you tell somebody you love them should not be while you're having sex.
Oh, no. Oh, no. No, that's a terrible time.
That messes everything. Like, hold on. Have you ever had that before, Nikki? You never had that before?
Not like in the beginning, just got to know somebody type of situation.
And I'm saying, even if you, let me say this again, let me even reiterate, even if you know someone, like you're dating them or you're getting to know them better, you're starting to get close. The first time you drop the L word should not be while you're in the process. Oh, hell no.
Yes, no. I thought you were saying, like, has it ever happened? No, yeah, the first time, that is the absolute worst time to say that, because that tells that's going to be a red flag. Like, you don't even mean this. You just saying it because you're in it. Like, if this is the only time that you've said it, no, this is the worst time to say it. Do not.
Now, this one is a little bit iffy, but Snack said,
don't be crying during
sex. Now, listen. I've had people have that. You can mess up the mood like that, because it's like, now some people it's different type of cries. Let me say that. Now, if you ever put it down on somebody, like they crying, not like emotional crying, they crying like they don't know what to do with themselves, because they feeling all type of stuff at the one.
No, that's too much.
Like, I had this girl. No, I had this girl. She started crying, but it wasn't like emotional crying. It wasn't one of those. It was like,
baby, she needed so that good.
But it was so funny. It's like, are you crying? And like, we both start laughing at the same time, because it was like, leave me alone. Just let me work my process.
The only time that crying during sex is going to be allowed is if it's makeup sex and you are absolutely 100% like in love with this person. Y'all had a vicious fucking cycle, and it's like that type of sex. Like, that type of shit. Otherwise, and even then, crying is a real strong word. I'm saying like maybe you might catch you might catch a little water in the eye just for like a little baby second, like damn, I fucking love you, you know, type shit. But no, you better not cry.
I start wondering. I'm like, man, I don't know. This person might got some issues.
Oh no, did you see what he
put? I'm not saying that out loud, but I just laughed.
I mean, he says start beatboxing that.
So, do you have any others from a sex stand? But yeah, definitely don't overstay your welcome after sex.
No. Any other ones on the female? Any other ones on the female side? What y'all expect out of women, etiquette wise or manners wise? Like, is it? Let me ask you this question: Is there an etiquette? Is it a manners thing to you? Do men think? I don't know. You can't answer for all men. For me God damn it, this light. For me as a woman, if a man is giving me oral, I expect him to continue until I finish, right? So do men generally expect that if a woman is giving him oral, she's gonna keep going until he finishes?
No, I don't think so. See, but and that is something that you probably get different answers. Me personally,
right?
No, because I am not a quick releaser so I may not want you to be down there for 25, 30 minutes and got your jaw locking up and all that stuff. Like, all right, it's good.
But it's not bad etiquette necessarily for some men if a woman doesn't stay down there until he finishes.
Not to me.
That's good.
Yeah, not to me.
That's what's up. I guess maybe unless it's exclusively an oral sex situation.
It's different. Okay, so mama, don't watch this. I can tell you so many times. So there's different times. So in certain times, either I'm doing her, she doing me. You getting ready, you know, you priming it up. And then there's other times I'm gonna take my time and have a session. And that is like sometimes it's the appetizer and sometimes it's the main course. Like, yo, this is, and I might give you some dessert D after it's over, but this is the main course right here. And I might I might go for an hour and a half, like, yo, this is gonna be the main course. And I'm probably telling too much business, but that's all right. Yeah,
some folks need to know. Some people need to know. Some people need to brush up on their sex education.
And we're going to I'm going to give it to you, and I'm gonna try to go for like 8-10 different positions on how I can give you head. And that's because that's the main course. That's the main course. And I'm taking ain't no rush. There is no rush to this.
Okay.
But it's different. It's different scenarios. So
I mean, it always is. I just wondered, you know, because you know, and again, like I can't say most women or all women, but I know women who can have multiple orgasms. So a woman having one orgasm is not going to mean like, damn, I'm down for the count. I can't get back up. Whereas I know, you know, there's a lot of men who are like, yeah, I can do multiples, but I need 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour in between. So I can see men being like, I don't want you to have me come off of head because then I can't give you no dick. Like,
True.
So I guess, but again, there's obviously always scenarios that surround those things, right? Like sometimes like you said, if you know, some people take a while to get off, you definitely don't want her down there forever, never, if that's the case, especially if sex is the greater later.
Right.
You want it that way.
That's the main course.
Yeah. I got you.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
I'm mad that I didn't think about this because I could have thought about a whole list of things. And but no, you covered a lot. That's good.
No, something popped up in my head the very last time that one of these people that I used to deal with brought me a fucking cold towel. I said, "You got to be shitting me." And so when I was going through the list of etiquette shit today, I was like, the fucking sex towel. I was like, who's responsible for the towel? So no, I ain't got no more on the sex category. I do have what else did I have? Social media. I've got out to eat. I've got
I don't have a lot social. I have a few church ones, a few music ones, and a few podcasting ones. And then just one general. So yeah, we can okay, well after I did all the sex talk, let me knock some quick church stuff out the way first. Let me get some church etiquette. Now just a couple. These are the basics. These are the basics. Hold on, where'd I go? Okay. Number one. All right, so now guys, we're talking about church stuff. I know we're doing a hard switch over, so I just want you to know.
It's fucking light.
So first thing, when in Rome, you act accordingly. So if you go to someone else's church, abide by the way that they operate, abide by their rules. Just because your church do something different than how everybody else do it, that's your church that you do there. If you at somebody else's church, you operate the way that they operate. And don't sit there with your nose up because they do things differently than you. There's a lot of churches do a lot of things differently.
Got a question.
Sure.
What if you don't go to church, but you're in a church? Case in point, I was at a funeral Saturday.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So I was clearly in a church. And I don't go to church. And I don't subscribe, whatever.
Right.
During the time where they were singing and during the time they were doing their prayers and stuff like that, I stood and, I stood along with everybody else. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my life. I stood along with everybody else, but the lady sitting next to me seemed very uneasy with the fact that I was not participating in anything. And I was like, first of all, this is a funeral, not a service, a Sunday service.
Right.
So anybody could be here at an actual funeral. Is that the same thing? Like, when in Rome, is that the same thing? If you're there for a funeral, if you're a guest, what if you don't go to church?
You're at the church. So when they stand up, then yes, you stand up. Don't be the only one sitting down.
Right.
If they, if they, up to a certain point.
Right.
Now people start speaking in tongues. You ain't got to start trying to copy them.
It's time to go.
Up to a certain. Right, just basic etiquette stuff, but you follow their lead, but not up to a certain point, not to where it's crazy. Basic rules: don't leave during offering or altar call. If you're gonna leave before that starts.
Right.
Before they ask anybody if they want to accept Christ, or before they say we collecting an offering. If you're gonna leave before that starts. Don't leave during. That's bad.
Okay.
And this more for churchgoers. Like, follow the flow of the house. As far, some people you're shouting and you're speaking in tongues. There's certain churches that don't do that and they don't believe in that.
Okay.
So don't do that.
Right.
Speaking tongues, but I'm not going to certain churches and just start bucking and hollering and shouting. That's poor etiquette. Don't. And then
that's what the Lord is talking to you. Ain't that what you're supposed to do? If that's when you got the Spirit, if that's just what you feeling and hearing.
This is a corporate gathering. Corporate gathering. So even when you're doing certain things, it still has to flow within what is corporately acceptable in that.
Okay.
If you like shouting and doing all that, then do it at home, or do it at a place where it's accepted and encouraged.
Okay.
Moke said, "I'll leave during prayer. I vanish."
Moke go to church?
Well, look, I don't. Like I said, I ain't tripping about the prayer part.
Right.
Yeah, see, I know Moke. Everybody got their head down there, and that's when he dip out when everybody else head down. They ain't looking.
Ain't nobody looking. Now it's time to go.
But yeah, and then the other thing is, if you ever go into another church, ask about the dress code. Ask about the dress code. Again, all churches are different. Some churches have a stricter dress code. Some churches have a loose dress code. Most churches, they will accept you no matter how you're dressed. Most churches will. Some of them won't, but most of them will. But even still, for your own sake, do you want to stand out that much? Do you want to be wearing a skirt that comes 5 inches up your thigh when everybody else got a skirt down today? Like, do you want to be out of place like that? So the easiest thing to etiquette, especially if somebody's inviting you or something like that, just ask, what's the dress code?
Right.
So you would know ahead of time.
Right.
And if it's too crazy for you, don't go.
Right.
You know, if somebody says, oh yeah, we don't wear pants, you know, for women, we don't wear pants at our church. If that's offensive to you, don't go. Like, nah, that ain't that. I can tell you already, that ain't gonna be my cup of tea. I'll pass. No problem.
Right.
That's all I got on that. Before I jump off the church thing, Jules, do you have any other church etiquettes that you'd like to throw in there or that you'd like to respond to?
I have a hard time with the church ones. I think that it's part of the congregation has to have some etiquette too, and understand that everybody that's there doesn't necessarily have a good comprehension of their religiosity and their doctrines. Because one of my first church memories is being a little girl about 4 years old in a Catholic church on Easter Sunday and wanting to take communion. And my mom said I could. And some little old purple-haired lady told me I was going to burn in hell for it.
Dang.
Yeah, my mom and her got into it. It was not a nice thing. So I think that part of the etiquette is not just what you do as the guest, but also the church has to be more welcoming. The congregation should be more welcoming and accepting and provide guidance instead of judgment.
Right. Yeah, that's just tact. You should have tact. There's a way to do things, and furthermore, I mean, just basic church principle. Everything that you should do should be out of a spirit of love, you know, and that is not the right approach. So yeah, I agree with that. Anything else before or anything else, and then I'll let you I'll let you, Nikki, move back to one of your categories.
All right. Me? Go?
Yeah.
Me?
Okay. Well, yeah. What categories you got?
Social media.
Social media. Okay, let's do it.
Social media. And now I can't see because my light went out. Hold on. So social media. Some of the things that were on my list were like the number one thing that bothers me about social media is people who will post spoilers or teasers.
Oh, that's a good one.
They'll tell the fucking movie. They'll tell the fucking show.
That's a good. Look.
Like, and it just aired at 7:00 tonight, so you know people have recorded to watch later. Like, how are you an adult in 2022 and common sense has not hit you hard enough to realize all I got to do is post in my headline, Walking Dead spoiler, don't read the comments if you don't want it to be spoiled, or Black Panther spoiler, don't read the comments if you don't want to read the spoiler. Like, so that at least gives the readers an option to engage in a conversation or scroll past that shit, because I don't want it to get ruined for me. And so I got into it with somebody. I think I actually unfriended somebody about this shit because they were just an absolute dick about it. I don't even remember what it was, but it was a brand new show or a brand new
they're not even general about it. Like, oh my God, this episode was so good. They like, I can't believe you killed George. And it's like,
literally told the whole thing. And people were so pissed off at this person because they're like, dog, it just went off. Like, I haven't even got home to watch it yet. Like, why would you post that? And the person was real like, oh, well, your problem about it. And I was like, you know what? You fucking suck, period. Like, if that's the response that you have to something like that, like, you just straight up suck. So that was one of my personal rants about social media.
There's literally, when there's certain, like, if I'm watching Power or Walking Dead or certain things that I know people are really invested in, I don't even get on social media at all. Say I'm watching Black Panther this Saturday and it came out Thursday night. That Thursday night, Friday, I'm totally off of it because I'm not gonna let nobody influence my. Yep, I'm not even gonna let them do it. So I just jump off completely. Like, I'm not even getting on here to let anybody spoil me. That's a good one.
Yeah, that shit bothers me. People who will do the spoilers, who will tell the movie, who will tell the show. Not posting like trigger warnings, right? So like there are some things that you do need to give people a warning about before you share certain things. When you share things that are traumatic, generally a person who's had a traumatic experience is going to have a reaction to that. And you can't stop all things, but something as simple as how you post on social media about certain topics is key. So I'm not going to post a story about, let's say, a woman being attacked or raped or a child being raped or something like that without putting some type of notice in my headline that, hey, before you go click on this article, I want you to know what this what this contains, because you might not want to read that. That might not be something that you mentally, emotionally, physiologically, psychologically want to take in. And there's so many times I've clicked on something that somebody posted and I'm like, oh god damn, this should have been a warning for this one. This was way too much information. So not being sensitive to maybe other people's traumas or other people's experiences, that something as simple as seeing a picture of a woman beat up by a man could send somebody fucking off track, so just being cautious and mindful, what you share, maybe not putting it in the body of your post, but in the comments of your post. So that way a person might not even have to see it when they're scrolling through their timeline and be like, oh, okay, that's a picture of an abortion. All right. I didn't really want to see that right now, as opposed to trigger warning, sensitive information, so on and so forth. It's kind of like Instagram. Like, you get on Instagram, and Smacks talked about this before. You get on Instagram after 9 o'clock at night, you can't open your Instagram around other people in public spaces, because if you follow 4 strippers and 3 OnlyFans models, like after 9 p.m., while you scrolling through Instagram, it's gonna be nothing but ass and tits.
Why is it after 9? Are they allowed to do different things after 9 o'clock or what?
That's just, the freaks come out at night. So that's just when all the booty gets posted and all the titties get posted and all the very interesting angles of, women get posted. But I mean, there's literally times at night where I'm like, I'm not even finna open up my Instagram. Both the kids are on the couch. Like, so instead of something like that, putting that in the body of your post as opposed to the post itself. So giving people an option, or just letting there be some type of screening process, right, when it comes to shit like that. Another one that was on my social media list was this bothers me so fucking much, people who retype what a meme is, or people who will retype something somebody else has posted as though it's their shit. Like, they're taking credit for something that you've seen 9 times be shared 9 times from a meme of 9 other people, but all of a sudden now you done retyped to put a background on it and shit, and now you're trying to claim it as yours. Like, that is weird to me. Like, did you plagiarize in school? Did you steal other people's shit in school? Like, that's a strange thing to me. Passing off a meme or a quote as yours when it is absolutely not yours. I don't know if it's an etiquette or a manners thing, but it's just a weird thing.
Well, Annette, I've got a lot of friends who do spoken word, who make a living off of their words. A lot of writers who make a living this way. And there's a few of them who, they watch dog for that. And I tell you what, honey, all of their followers watch dog for it. And when somebody does steal a status and they find out, they will change their profile picture to the other person's profile picture and introduce them to all their fans. Because the person liked their words so much. Then how do you like it when somebody does it to you and steals your identity and your thoughts? And plagiarism is what that is. And you're right. Etiquette is share the meme, share the picture, credit the artist or the person who wrote it, the thought where it came from. But as far as, no, you don't just take that stuff. No. Yeah, I've got a couple of my friends who are really good at making sure that the person who does that is called out and called to the carpet for it. It's their living. I mean, these people travel the country, they travel the world getting paid $10,000 and more per speaking engagement. And when they're posting stuff on their page, that's how they get their money. That's how they keep a roof over their head and feed their family. So yes, it goes, to me, that one goes far beyond etiquette, but it starts with etiquette.
Yeah.
It doesn't take anything away from you to say, hey, this was, so-and-so said this. What is that taking from you?
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. You know, I'll get people who are frequently, you know, post under one of my quotes or memes. I'm like, oh, I'm stealing this. I'm like, no, you know what? I stole it from somebody else. So absolutely steal away. That's totally different than somebody who just rewrites your whole shit, puts a background on it, and looks to try to claim it as their own. It's like, that's just real weird behavior to me. It's strange. Why do you want people to think that you wrote this? You didn't.
Because they're not funny, and they want to be thought of as insightful and thoughtful and funny and intelligent, and they fucking know they're not. So they'll steal it from somebody else.
Right. Some people don't have an original thought of their own, so they just grab other people's thoughts to make themselves seem more interesting.
Especially when they've been following somebody and they see that person gets 100, 200, 500, whatever, likes and everything else every time that they post something that somebody else has all that attention. A lot of people got no problem stealing that shine.
Okay, so this is not a etiquette thing. This is just a pet peeve of mine, I think. And the people who try to get you, like, either they try to guilt you or love you or prompt you to respond to a post. Like, if you want good luck today, then type in great, and the thing that I really hate even more so is the whole spiritual stuff. If you need a blessing,
if you want God to bless you today,
type such and such and such. For all my real brothers and sisters, if you got love for me, then type and share this to such and such, and then I'm not doing any group threads that are trying to prompt me to participate. I do not respond to any of those ever.
Agreed.
Not only in social media, even on my phone and group. It could be my mama.
Right.
I don't respond to group threads. Like, anybody who loved me then put a smiley face and no, I'm not doing none of that.
But I do think that is an etiquette thing too, though, because how fucking rude to put that out there with the manipulation and the guilt trip.
Right.
If I find something along those lines and I do find enough value in the message, you'll notice before I repost it on the person who I'm taking it off of their page, I'll make whatever comments I make and I'll let them know I'm sharing this, but I'm taking all that chain mail crap out because I don't know if y'all remember back in the day.
Chain email.
Yep. You start out. I don't remember ever getting a physical chain mail thing. My dad used to get them at the office, I know. But then email. I mean, you would get the email. And if you break the chain, what? No.
Oh my God, I hated that. This chain is broke. Because I guarantee you this chain get to me. I promise.
Don't send it to me because I'm not going to keep it going.
And then Jules, on top of that, this is the thing. I hate this with a passion. And people, they try to spiritually get, most people nowadays are ashamed to profess their love for Jesus. If you love Jesus and you ain't ashamed of it, type this to 7, share this to 7 people, and I'm not sharing that to nobody. How about that?
Right? Even the ones where they say, I know nobody's going to follow directions, but no, you're right.
I know no one's going to do this, but
I'll post my little picture because I thought
most real friends won't even take the time to read this full thing, and it's like this is the third one I've seen. You've already copied and shared. I'm breaking the chain. I'm breaking the chain. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I think that's the difference in free thinkers versus not.
I don't know if it's etiquette. It just gets on my nerves. It's an irritant for me.
So when y'all were talking about like group messages, the one that came to my mind was literally group text messages. Stop sending group text messages unless it's like so I have
if we
my mom, my sister,
agreed, right?
Like we have all the ladies of my immediate family in one message, and then there's like me, my sister, and my daughter in another message. But outside of that, we are not bringing in 15, 16, 27, 30 different people from fucking Happy Thanksgiving text messages and Merry Christmas text
you send
messages.
Me a group message saying Happy Thanksgiving. I don't respond to those either.
I try and figure out how to unexcuse myself from the group as quick as
send
possible.
it to me
and
directly.
It's almost like you can't, because
hey,
you can delete it, and
I'll respond back immediately.
And then they have a conversation continuing in that group message, so you get every message that gets responded to. Like, I
when it comes
hate
to that,
group text.
either messenger, text, you need to address me directly by name.
Right.
You address me by name, I'll respond and I have a full conversation. But if you sending the same message to me, you send it to another 20 people, I don't respond to none of this.
No, I'm not.
Okay, you brought up a good one. So I know for a fact my ex's funky little ass used to take whatever he sent me and be sending it to somebody else, be sending it to other females because he thought he was cute.
Oh.
Come on now. Is that beyond an etiquette thing? If you're
what it is,
been in a serious relationship, if we had just been dating, is that just yeah? Well, I know that's a fuck boy.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna make you mad again, Jules. Part of what that is if you're with somebody and you got side pieces and all that, you want things to be as uniform as possible. That way you don't get so tripped up. Like if I said something to you and then I think I said it to somebody else and then it's like, oh, you ain't say that to me. We didn't go. So then you say the same thing to everybody. You give everybody the same pet name. You call them babe or whatever you call you.
Like everybody, like his mama got the same messages I got.
So that way he ain't got to trip up on the lie. He can hey,
damn. That's how you keep your lies. That's how you keep your lies straight.
That's how you try to. That's the way that you try.
Damn.
Okay. Any other social media ones?
What else did I have on social media? Showing explicit pictures, reposting plagiarism, giving the movie.
About the pictures?
Just like posting explicit pictures. So instead of like posting them as like the main post, putting it in a comment as opposed to it being what's the first thing shown on a timeline. Like just being cautious and mindful of what your initial post is going to show as opposed to putting it in the comments so that people who may not want to see XYZ won't see that, and be given a choice, right? So I can go to your page and I can click on the post and I can read it, but it's not just there slamming my face like, oh shit, because you posted it and you didn't put it in a comment section.
I think sometimes though, I try and be conscientious of things like that, but there are times where if I'm in that heightened emotional state where like I just put that back out there, if I put something, that's generally going to be more though something that directly happened to me, And then
you don't generally share things that would be, I don't think, emotionally sensitive or offensive to another person. Like, even if you were to share let's say you were to share something on domestic violence, right? Like, you're still going to probably put a trigger warning. You're still going to probably, God forbid there's pictures that go along with the story. Like, there's going to be some type of prompting that lets a person know, hey, this is what this conversation is about. Totally up to you if you want to get into this. And I've done this in some cases, because I post all kind of shit. And sometimes I'll say things like that too. Like, if you don't want to get into this conversation, then don't click here. But I don't see you as someone who generally would post something that would be like emotionally offensive or emotionally.
Okay, so here's another. I don't know. Maybe this probably falls into etiquette, but how do I say this? Like constantly responding in the comment section of someone that you're only a contrarian. Like you get some people who they get in the comment section and they only like
they just want to fight.
If you disagree with everything I do, then why are you always on my page just disagreeing with everything that I do? Now I understand like we agree with some things. Oh, that's good. That's this and this and that. And then sometimes I like it's a full, well-rounded conversation from a comment and thread perspective. But you get some people who all they do is just disagree. And it's like what? That it's poor etiquette because especially I know there's certain people, there's very few people, probably about 5% of the people who's on my friend page who actually look for dialogue and disagreement. The majority of people, they're putting their thoughts out there, but they're not looking for confrontation constantly. So it's like, why are you always showing how much you disagree or disapprove on somebody? It's like, just don't get off of their thread, get off their page. Why are you on their page? I think that's kind of, what's the word for it? I don't know what the word is for that, but it's like
it's antagonistic. You're
yes,
not you're
yes,
not authentic. You are not authentically interested in me in any positive way. You are
yes,
literally only interested in me to poke the bear or
yes.
argue with me or try to prove that you're smarter or that you're right and I'm wrong. And that's cool. Block, unfriend.
Right, and
I'm
that's my
not doing
thing.
that.
There's some people
I'm not
who,
doing that.
and people who are even friends of mine, but I see that I consistently strongly disagree with a lot of their statements or their viewpoints or whatever. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna mute you. I ain't gotta make no big announcement,
Right.
this and this, and like, but a lot of the stuff you say just kind of irk me. We just gonna mute. So it ain't nothing that they doing is wrong. I just don't need to keep seeing these posts when they irk me. I'm a mute. I'm a mute. I don't need to see those.
Well, yeah, but that's because you're secure in who you are and you're not some hurt little inner child always trying to scream for attention. And to me, those people that are so contrary all the time, who are so antagonistic all the time, are standing on top of the mountain, screaming as loudly as they can. Look at me. Somebody listen to me, please.
Oh,
and they don't care what it's about. And
the thing that irks me about those people, a lot of them, all they can do is disagree with you. But many of them, they don't have an original thought or opinion of their own. All they do is just find stuff that they disagree with everybody. Okay, so what do you think? Well, I mean, I don't know. Well, you always got these strong opinions about what other people are saying.
How you don't know now?
What do you think? Give us an original thought that came out of your brain versus you just disagreeing with what everybody says.
Or if they, especially when they pull talking points from people that just to disagree with your point.
Right.
Yeah. This isn't even your reality. This isn't even your brain coming up with this. And that's the best you got. Yeah. I don't know. At one point I had a couple of thousand Facebook friends when I was really heavy into doing spoken word and out on the scene a lot and stuff. And then it whittled down to about 800. And then when my last profile got shut down, I think I've got like less than 200 people in there now. And I am so cool with that. Ooh. I know personally almost all of them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who I know personally who I don't have on my Facebook anymore because I didn't go reach back out to them. And some of them, y'all know, who have reached out to me like, oh, I see you don't like me. And that's another thing. Like if you're so butthurt about not being a friend of mine, you send me a friend request to even see if I would answer it. Right. Like the etiquette to me in that, don't reach out to me and say, I see you don't have me as your friend. I didn't unfriend you. My whole account got shut down. And no, I didn't refriend you. And now I'm not going to.
Now I don't want to.
I got no reason to because you were just a pain in the ass to begin with. Like
so now let me segue because when you start speaking of spoken word, I have a few for music that I do, and I think some of this applies to spoken word as well. Nikki, did you have any other social media ones?
Oh, that was it.
Okay. So let me go into the music. Now, as far as music, I did rap, primarily Christian rap. So some of those rules are going to be a little bit different than some other rules, but some of them are going to be general. So let me go here. Number 1, keep your time. Don't go over your freaking time. Especially when there's like a showcase or lineup and there's multiple artists going. Keep your time. If they gave you 15 minutes, you do 14 minutes and get off the stage.
Right.
Nothing worse than
people wanting more, baby.
Yes. And thank you, Jules. Just because the audience may want more, keep your freaking time. Just because everybody into it and grooving, this is not your lone showcase. There's a lot of people. And if you've ever had to run or MC one of these things and you're trying to keep time, everybody going 5 minutes over set, by the time you get to the 5th or 6th person, now you're 45 minutes behind on schedule. Don't do that. That's poor etiquette, and it's inconsiderate of the people who have to go behind you.
Yes.
Now, okay, this is more so from the Christian rap category. Christian rapper, you have not been requested to preach. Do your music and sit down. You get a lot of people that you get invited to do a couple songs, and then I've seen people want to get up there and they start halfway preaching a sermon for 15 to like, yo, they didn't invite you to preach. They wanted you to come do a couple of your songs. Do your songs and sit down. We don't need a whole message out of you. It's gonna be a preacher come on later after that. We don't need you for that. And it's I've seen a lot of people use the Christian rap platform as a way to have an audience and get a microphone in their hand. And anyway, I ain't like that. So what's another one? Oh, okay. And this don't apply for poets, but rappers. Don't rap over your own track. Bring instrumentals. Get an instrument. If you ain't got your own band, bring instrumentals. And at the most, you can have instrumentals with your ad libs in there. Don't have the same track that you're gonna be selling, the same thing that you're gonna be selling later that's all mixed and mastered, and you just rapping along with the track. Terrible. Yeah, no showmanship whatsoever.
The worst part about that to me is I've got artists who back in the day I had their album, their CD, whatever, and I could sing along cleaner than I've seen some of these people sing their own stuff in an actual live venue. Right. And because the music is playing their lyrics, every time they screw up, it's blatantly obvious.
But they do that on it's really lazy because I'm not, number one, I'm not comfortable with my lyrics completely. Mm-hmm. Or number two, I haven't taken the time to train up to do my live performance. Because even when you're doing a live performance, you got to make sure that you're counting your breaths. You got to make sure that you are able to actually get it all out. And a lot of people are not able to do that, so they just get lazy and have a track. So when they get tired, when they run out of breath, then they just let the track rap for them, and then they just then they end up ad-libbing to the track that's already there. I'm like, dog, this is trash.
Yeah, if you're gonna try and spit too many bars at Busta Rhymes or Eminem speed, then know what the hell you're doing.
I saw Jay-Z on a show. Somebody he was at some type of club or event or whatever like that, and whoever was there, they wanted him to do certain songs, and they had his song just from his album with his words in there, and he was like, "No, I'm not rapping over this." He was like, y'all was supposed to have the instrumental. Like y'all don't want to see me. If that's the case, you just listen to the album. And he wouldn't rap. He was like, oh well, you know, if they get the instrumentals, then I'll do it. But I'm not doing the sloppy stuff. So that's respectable. That's real MC type stuff. Oh, okay. Don't grow a pair of balls in the middle of your set. If the sound isn't right, be courteous. Especially if you weren't specific during the sound check. So some people skip the sound check, or they don't clearly voice what they want during the sound check. And then when the sound is not right while they're up on set, then they over here barking at the sound people like they did something wrong. No, you wasn't handling your business right. If there was something wrong with your sound, you should have got it straightened out during the sound check. Let it clearly be stated what you wanted, how you wanted, and what levels you wanted it to be on.
Or you did your sound check and left the mic in the mic stand and didn't touch it. And the second you get up live on stage, the first thing you do is grab that microphone by the head, which screws all of the sound up for the engineer and is not what you should be doing.
You know, rappers bad for that.
I've been to a couple of maybe two shows that had that issue.
Cup in the mic.
One of the other things though and I've seen a lot of different artists do it, but spoken word people are really bad about it. And don't let the intro to whatever you're getting ready to do be longer than what you're getting ready to do. Don't get up there and give me an 8-minute breakdown of the history of why you wrote this piece,
right? And
then do a 2-minute song, poem, whatever it is, and perform. Your actual thing was 2 minutes long, but you've just wasted. You had 3 minutes on that stage. You just wasted 5 minutes of somebody else's time. We could have had 2 other people get up there. But no, you had to give us this whole diatribe about
And then you act like, oh, well, I got my 10 minutes. I'm like, no, you already used your 10 minutes talking before you even did a piece. So, yeah. And then, like, just be courteous. Even if there is something with the sound going on, you ain't, yo, man, what's up with this shit? You know, like, no, like, be courteous. Can I get a little bit more? Thank you. Perfect. I appreciate it. Like, just be courteous when it comes to people dealing with the sound. I hate people who act like assholes to either sound people or like, I don't like anybody. That's poor etiquette.
Have y'all already talked about the etiquette of like how you treat the wait staff, how you treat the janitor, how you treat the maid, how you treat to anybody? Why are you speaking because you're the one up on stage? Well, if they didn't come in and do sound, you wouldn't have anything for it to pump out of anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So here's my last one with the music thing. Oh, and this is more specific toward Christian rap, but this is also for local showcases, especially when you're doing things locally. Don't come late and leave early. Especially when you know this even in the poetry world, Jules. A lot of times, especially when you're doing like local showcases, half of the audience are other performers.
Yep.
Right.
So the same way that you want an audience to perform for, the people who come after you and go before, they also want an audience too. And you're doing something for a local venue or a local event. You want to help. It's not just for about you performing, but you want to lend energy to the venue. And part of that is being supportive for the people who are before you and the people who are there after you. And one of the worst poor etiquette is you coming in late, and then as soon as you're done doing your set, then you leave. And then I've seen this so many times, the last 2 or 3 performers, the room is halfway empty because all of the people who performed before then, they got up and left.
And they took the entourage with them.
Yep. Exactly. They left, took all their people with them.
Not fully supporting the venue, not fully supporting the other art. Honestly, when I got inducted as a neo soldier, like that was one of the, like, I was beyond shocked because all the other people who were neo soldiers in neo soul poetry had been slam performers, and they spoke out. They lashed out on me being inducted because I don't slam. I refuse to do that. I'm getting judged enough. It's not my thing.
Right.
And there were several of them who felt like I hadn't paid my dues, but the difference is I showed up every single week. I was there close to the beginning. I stayed until the very end every time I could. And I was giving all of that energy, and I got up there and performed, and I learned from them, and I cultivated my spoken word and my poetry over the years of doing that. And it was years of doing that before I got inducted and I was totally blown away and shocked. You know, Stacy was there that night, and she had been a neo soldier, and my best friend Kalene was being inducted. She got me to go because she had slam performed. She had gone to nationals, regionals.
Right.
But the being there, the showing, the lending that energy, the staying, the giving that back, that's just, if you don't love it, why are you there? Right. And if you don't expect other people to come and love it when you're doing it, why don't you give that same love to them? It's definitely a bad etiquette thing to me.
You made me think of something else also. When it comes to either rap or spoken word artists, especially before a person does a set, be considerate of them, give them some grace also. Like, you don't know what's going on there. Even if they're accessible to you, they mind on their performance. They mind on their words, their execution, this and that. And if you just start talking about random stuff, they might be a little short with you. They might not be fully like, man, he kind of blew me off. No, his mind is occupied. Her mind is occupied. They're thinking on the piece. They're reciting what they need to do in their mind already. And then you'll notice sometimes after someone finishes their set, then they're much more open to speak and talk because they done doing what they need to do.
And so just keep coming down from that emotional high of being on stage, but yeah.
So everybody ain't being a jerk just because they kind of standoffish to you. They're in preparation mode right then. So be mindful of that. And don't try to have a whole lot of conversations that's off topic, and it can throw people off.
I think that goes across the board though, because I know with people in my crew and my tribe, and I was in New Orleans, for Thanksgiving, and my cousin and I were talking about that. There was something that came up, and I was like, He's like, why didn't you mention that? And I'm like, because I really thought with what you were going through at the time, you probably didn't have the emotional capacity for it. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, that's something that me and my crew and my tribe, like if I got something heavy going on and I reach out to one of my people, I will often ask them, hey, you know, like you said you had a minute, but like, do you have a minute? Because like what I've got going on right now, but being aware that everybody is not available for to carry your emotional weight whenever you need it.
But I am, God damn it. And that's why you call me. I'm always ready.
Yeah,
but you always make sure that in your own way, I am emotionally available to be able to tend to you when you need it. And my thing is if you're coming to me for some guidance, I'm going to make the time, because a lot of us don't go to other people for advice or for guidance. So it's like in those occasions where somebody asks, oh, that's cool, everything's off the table. How much time do you need?
Right.
Pull up. I got numerous chairs in the front yard, the backyard. How much time do you need? But I think it is important when people do ask if you are available, because then the flip side to that, Jules, is people who just bombard you all the time with their shit. And you're like, it isn't even that I don't have the capacity to deal with you. I don't want to. And I don't have to.
One of the girls I've known since I was 17 in New Orleans, when my phone rings, I have to look at it and go like, because I know I'm going to answer the phone. It's going to be, hey, Juju, or it's going to be, oh my God, you won't believe this shit.
Right.
And probably 85% of the time, that's what it's going to be. And I mean, I know a lot of people who don't even answer her calls anymore. And I'm like, I've tried to tell her. And so, and she's one of those people that as soon as she opens up and starts with all this, and I'm like, look, I really can't, like, I've got stuff going, oh, what do you have? And this, you say one sentence and she's like, oh, well, then I'll let you go. She just wants somebody to dump all of that onto. I'm like, I've been giving you advice for years and you ain't take it. You ain't in that position because you choose to stay in that position. So don't know what to tell you, baby girl. I got to go.
If the advice giving, conversations are not reciprocal, you don't really care about what I got going on. You just want to dump on me so I can give you feedback, but I certainly can't dump on you. You're not able to dump on me anymore.
Yep.
I'm not doing it. So there's definitely etiquette in oversharing or etiquette in venting to people.
And I think it's simple. Asking if they have capacity, not just are you available, do you have a minute, do you have some time, but do you have the emotional space, the mental capacity to deal with this thing I got going on right now. I don't have positive news. When I was in New Orleans, I saw a friend of mine who's in the hospital, and we don't know if he's going to make it to the beginning of the year. I got to see, and I talked to one of our other friends. We've all known each other since since 88. We've all known each other. We grew up together. And I told one of my other friends, like, look, I said, I hadn't said anything to you yet. Like, do you have capacity? Because he called me about excitement about a job and stuff. And I happened to mention, I'm like, do you have time for a not good thing right now?
Right.
And it makes a big difference.
Right. It's true.
Agree.
Edward, you got any thoughts when it comes to etiquette relating to music or anything like that?
I think y'all spoke literally everything that was on my mind that I visualized over the past 6-7 years that I've been attending showcases. Like, there's like the part we talking about showing up late. Like earlier this year, like there's this one artist, he was supposed to come in, I think the second to last. He ended up being the very last performer because he showed up like real late, and he only performed I think 3 songs in 6 minutes. And then he was out.
Oh wow!
It's like basically just came in. It's like, I don't care if it's this amount of time. I'm going to get the bag, and I'm out.
Right.
That's all they about nowadays. Some of these artists, it's like we pay good money, or in some cases, there's some showcase where
and this ain't, and especially when you're doing local showcases with people regionally. A large benefit that the people have is that you have the ability to be more tangible than the average artist. So it wasn't for me to, or even us, I'm talking about me and Blue, to try to be these big name, high profile rappers. And like, I didn't want to operate like that. Especially if we are local and we are more tangible, we get the opportunity to speak to people and find out about them and connect with them and you know, really sit down and talk to them after the show and stuff like that. Like, take advantage of that. Be in the crowd with the people, root on the other artists and stuff like that. That's your advantage. Even with us being a podcast, like, okay, Joe Rogan can't sit down and just talk to everybody one-on-one. Fortunately, at the stage that I am right now, I can. Right. So when somebody message me and they speak to me, I can have a full-blown conversation with them. Message back and forth. Hey, call me. We can talk and have a conversation. That's the benefit. That's the benefit that the people who follow you, the benefit that they have is that you have the ability to be more tangible to them. So be that. Exactly. Make yourself more available. Don't try to act like you're a superstar. If that happens one day, then a lot of those people who are on a superstar status wish they were still at the level where they could be in the crowd and just talk to people and be regular. And certain times it comes to a place that they're not able to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Understand where you are now. If they're coming to, people are coming to your show when they could go see larger acts. But there's certain people who like that home. That's the same reason why some people prefer smaller churches than larger churches. I don't know how many people I've talked to. Well, the church is too big. Like, it's how do I connect with people or have a conversation with people? It's just, I've been going to this church 8 months and I've never met the pastor yet. You know, some of that stuff, people want a more personal connection. So
yeah, I'm not going to mega church. Yeah.
So and depending on what you're looking for, can be different. Okay, so the last thing I got is we got we're gonna close. We ain't gonna close exactly hard. I ain't gonna shut us right down. But the podcasting, I got some podcasting etiquette.
Okay.
All right. So, and some of this stuff, I think we say it kind of often. So, number one, double Dutch. Listen first and find your way into the conversation. Nothing more irritating when we all having this conversation, then somebody just jump in. All of a sudden, we let them in, and it's like, okay, so now what was y'all talking about?
Look, Edward tapped in here well into an hour as we're going. He ain't said a fucking peep.
Got into the flow.
Following the flow, picking up where we are, what's been discussed, and then boom.
The flow of the conversation. Don't make everybody else. Now we got to backtrack all the way. I mean, and I don't do that. And I hear a lot of people. Okay, so now what was y'all talking about now? All right, you don't have to go back and listen.
I was still in the sexual etiquette conversation, but I couldn't get this jar stream. And then I went, you know what? I probably don't need to be in that one anyway. I pulled up out trying to find the StreamYard thing. I was like, good God, what are they talking about tonight? That's not what I was expecting.
Hot towel, cold towel.
It's warm, damn it.
Find your way. Just catch the flow of the conversation before you just jump in. All right, now what we talking about now? No, we talking about something. You just got here. And now you asking us to backtrack everything that we already talked about.
That's a weird thing to me. You're a weird person if you do that to me. Like,
it's poor etiquette.
Yeah, you have real bad. Like, you probably interrupted a lot as a fucking child.
Mama.
But that goes back to that having to be the center of attention thing. Like, just blend in. It's gonna be okay. No, they want to jump in and all attention on them. Just stop everything.
I'm here. Yeah, that's some weird shit. That bothers me.
I got another one. If you are a invited guest, a specific invited guest, be early. Be early.
Right.
Always.
Okay. If you are a guest on a specific show, you've been invited to be a guest on a show, follow the flow of the show that you're on.
Understand like when I got invited to go to Dr. Bright's show. I was
yes.
like, woo!
The show has a certain flow to it. Follow the flow of the show. You don't want to go against the grain of the show that's already been set.
Right.
So you know, and this is another thing, and this happens on occasion. But you know, sometimes we have serious conversations on here. Sometimes we have more light jokingly conversations, kind of like now. If we're in a light mood, having a light joking, lighthearted conversation, don't come in with a whole bunch of serious shit. Like that's not the flow of the right. This ain't like, don't come in talking about some real heavy emotional serious stuff when the conversation or the show it is like for instance the show that you do with is it Koo or Kai? How do you say his name?
Koo. The Koo. Comedy show. Koo.
Comedy show, right? You don't want to start giving no long, sentimental, hurtful, like this is not the show for that.
Look, and I've had this conversation with Koo before. I'm like, dog, are you sure you want me on here? Because I could be funny as fuck. And I think generally I am funny, but like when there's certain, you know, events that he wants to talk about, he'll go all the way around the room with all the comedians. And I'm like, dog, why you bring me in on this? Like I can be funny about it, but I have to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Right. And that if you're on a comedy show, even something that's serious or that you have strong feelings about, you still need to take somewhat of a lighthearted approach to it.
Right.
Ain't no need in getting, you know, you ready to cuss people out and calling them racist and other stuff. Like, no, this ain't the show for that, Nikki.
And honestly, I've said that before. There's been a couple times I've been on his show, and there was a conversation a couple months ago that would have been real different if it was on our show. And I made that comment when he got to me. He was like, Nikki, I was like, I had to remember this is your show. This is not Free Thinkers. This is not my platform. This is not what we do here. I was like, so let me try to retrain my brain to think differently. But that's very true though. I mean, that's if I went in there guns drawn and, you know, shooting the room up every single time, he ain't gonna ask me to come back. Now he does like me to come back because I say controversial shit, but there's a time and a place for everything.
And then in addition to that, this is what I tell people to do. Watch 1 or 2 previous episodes. Get
the groove of it.
Right. Find out how the moderator operates, the host, how the people, how they interact. Do they take little witty jabs at each other? Does each person kind of do their own little 60-second thing? How much do they interject in other people's, you know, in the middle of people's conversation? Get a flow of how their show operates before you just jump on, so you'll have a feel for how it works. And even the way that I operate was not the same way that I operate on Dr. Bright's show. Dr. Bright's show, you ain't just, you know, we cut people off on this one. They don't really cut people off on that show as much. Here Talks, that wasn't a show where you just jumped in and cut people off as much. So it's like find out how they operate, watch 1 or 2 episodes first, and then kind of say, all right. And that kind of goes back to the whole church thing that I use. Like, yo, get a feel for the room, see how they do things.
And even when it comes to comedy, though, because some of us, I mean, I've got 2 very distinct different sides of comedy in me. My mom is kind of real fun and goofy, more slapstick comedy and intelligent stuff. I got my dad's very dark sense of humor too. Right. Very fucking twisted. So even my type of comedy, depending on the mood I'm in, may not suit the room.
Right.
I may think it's hilarious, but everybody else is looking at me like,
yeah. And I have a dark comedy side too. And like half of the jokes that I tell, like I won't crack a smile.
Oh wow.
Just, you know, and for people who know me, they think it's funny. People who don't know me, they're like, all right, is he serious? Or whatever. and I'm one of the people, I like humoring myself. So I'll just say something that's funny to me and I'll just bust out laughing. And like, I don't know what's wrong with him. But you know, that's I don't do that everywhere because I know people won't get me everywhere. So I'm kind of, you know, like the whole 9 yards. That's my type of that movie is hilarious to me. Yeah. Dark comedy. Like that's the type of stuff that I like.
I kept telling my dad that he was going to absolutely love Deadpool. And he was like, I don't like the superhero. I don't do that type of thing. And like the year before he passed away, when I was in New Orleans one time, I finally got him to sit down and watch Deadpool with me. And he laughed so hard. He made me watch the whole thing the second time the next day. It was amazing. Like, no, you're going to believe me. And then my poor niece, she was 17 at the time. And we watched Deadpool with her, and then we played Cards Against the Humanity with just me and my dad and her, and she got all the jokes because she was 17, and she and I could kind of started joking kind of in some of those ways, but my dad, her grandfather, was there.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, nah, I'm doing this.
Yeah. But I think that also, you said a couple times about reading the room. You know, a lot of people aren't self-aware. They don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand body language of other people. They don't understand what their body language and how that is interpreted, or their tone and how those things are interpreted by other people. And they don't understand energy in the room at all. They're oblivious to it. They just don't get it.
Right.
It's not something that comes natural to everybody, for sure.
And that's the last part I said. Just know your boundaries and know their target audience. So like, even I don't cuss on High IQ. That's, even though it's my show, I know the target audience for that group. That's not the platform for me.
Yeah.
And in a lot of situations, it don't know the target audience. So even certain things, I did a show with Janae before. And if her target audience is going to be geared toward a lot of women, I'm going to say what I say, but I'm going to make sure I say it in a receivable, tactful way.
Right.
I'm not just going to be kind of rude and gruff, especially when people don't know me like that. There's just ways to do everything, but not only your boundaries, but know the show's target audience.
Mm-hmm.
And operate accordingly.
That's definitely something I learned being on multiple different shows, being invited onto somebody else's, right? Like, we do our thing way different than a lot of people do their thing. And so then going onto somebody else's platform, I'm like, it's like going to somebody else's house. I'm not going to go into somebody else's house and just help myself in the kitchen and walk in your master bedroom and go help myself in your bathroom. Like, no, you've been invited into somebody else's space. Like, I'm not going to be me any less, but I can be a different me based on who is watching, who is listening, what my goal is there. And then in turn, hoping to possibly draw some of these people to our show, to our space. And everything is for everybody, So that's what I tell a lot of people when I meet people on other shows is I'm like, when you catch us on Free Thinkers, it's a little different. I said, then it's just different. I said, it's not different in a bad way. It's not different in a loud way. It's not different in a, less tactful way. I said, it's just, we have a different energy over there. We can communicate more freely and openly here than sometimes in other spaces because those are not our spaces to curate. This is our space to curate. So I'm always very cautious about other people's shows that I go on. And it's funny when people will be like, you didn't say one bad word. Oh, you cannot cuss. Well, of course I cannot cuss. Of course I can. I like to use colorful language. It just comes with the energy sometimes when I speak. But in certain spaces, I really do have to try to find an alternative word to use. And but to me, it's kind of it's good. It's good. It's like sharpening the tools in the toolbox. So it's a good thing to be in spaces like that where you do have to be mindful of the room and how you speak and what you say. And maybe not so much what you say, but how you say it, I guess.
Right.
Makes a big difference.
Right. No. Any other podcasting etiquette suggestions anybody has?
I think one of my biggest pet peeves with just being in conversation shows, because you made the comment that sometimes we'll cut each other off, and I think by default when those of us who are involved with Free Thinkers on a routine basis cut somebody else off, it's not intentionally rude. I think it's like in the moment passion, right? So I've gotten into the habit of keeping a notebook in my lap at all fucking times so that I can write down my thought. And if I put my hand up and you don't call me, I'm like, okay, write it down and I'll come back to it later. But what I see happen on a lot of other shows, or when people come to our show who I don't think have open dialogue the way that we do, they have a hard time having conversation. They don't interject in the proper places. They interrupt in places where it's like, oh, why didn't you just wait? And they almost don't get that they're interrupting. Like I know I definitely interrupt people, and I almost always apologize when I do it because I'm like, shut the fuck up, Nick. Like it's not your turn. But it's such a weird thing to me to have people come into our house and just interrupt left and right. It's like, do you do this in your real world too? Like,
yeah, that's
they do.
Or listening skills, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a pet peeve of mine. People who do the interrupting thing all the time.
And then see what I learned. Okay, this is a part of etiquette too. No, you're not reading the room. So
yeah,
this is a part of the etiquette. Even we had a show doing wrong the right way. So this is doing is so for example, it's wrong to cut people off, cut in front of them, speak in front of them. But if you do, what I try to do, my best practice is, even if I cut you off, I still try to bring you back in.
Right.
Jules, I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you saying? Right. Or if I heard the first few words that you said, then I'll lead you back in. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, Jules, you were talking about such and such, such and such. Go ahead. My apologies. Go ahead. So that's and at least if you're cutting someone off and you also are acknowledging that someone else was speaking, and if you can lead them back and not force them to have to remember what they were saying, you can kind of lead them into where they were going with it. It also acknowledges that I was listening, even though I cut you off, and I value the words that you say, so I do want to hear it. So
maybe that's because other people, maybe that's because most other conversations or other platforms, when people may get skipped over or something, they don't come back to them. So they feel like, oh, I got to get it out here right now. As opposed to if you're new in our house and you look around for a little while, Q is almost always going to come back to you, even if somehow you get jumped over. Every once in a while we do forget to go back to somebody, sure enough, especially if it's a fast-flowing conversation. We got a lot of people on here. But 9 out of 10 times, you're going to almost always go back to that person so that they're not forgotten.
I'll just stop the count. Stop. We got to get Edward in. Sorry, sir. I'll just all right, we're going to just keep flowing, so we just got to put a quick pause to this. I have one more. I don't remember if I said this last week or not, but this is a big one to me, and it don't really fall under any category. And once I say this, if you haven't heard me say it before, anybody's been around me, you're gonna notice. Nikki, you'll probably notice this, what I say, because I'll operate by my own etiquette. So my last one: at a party or large group gathering, don't announce your exit.
Don't announce it. Yeah.
He's just a ninja out the door.
So if I'm at a house party, a birthday party, somebody, is a group of people, 15, 20 people there. Do not. All right, everybody, I'm about to go. We got to get out of here. And you start hugging everybody. All right, I gotta get up to go to work in the morning. I'll be back. Don't do that.
Why are you doing it anyways, as opposed to saying individual goodbyes? Like, why are you announcing your departure?
So, and then because then you know what happens after that. Then once you start making this grand goodbye, now you got half the people in the room. Oh, what time is it? Oh, sure. Oh yeah, it's time for me to get out of here too. So now the party was good and going everything great, and now since you didn't made a grand announcement of your exit, now you about to take a third of the party with you because you over here talking, it's time to go. I got to go to work in the morning. I love y'all. I'll see y'all. No.
Keep your damn responsibility to yourself. Stop spreading that nonsense.
And if people ever notice in group gatherings, they be like, where'd Q go? I will text whoever's party it is, Hey, bro, I'm out. I'll catch you later. I just shoot him a text. I don't go through I don't go shaking everybody's hands and I don't say nothing to nobody. I just dip. Hey, bro, I had to dip. I'll holler at you later.
As a woman, I'm definitely going to make sure that some of the key people are going to know that I'm no longer there and where I'm going. But that's a moving in this world as a woman thing, though.
Right.
Yeah. I guess for me, I just always like some
key people. It's key people. You can let them know, but don't make these grand announcements. And now you disrupt the party.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to sneak out anyway.
It happens all the time, though. I see it happen all the time, and I'm
weird.
And I see it all the time. Oh, really? What time is it? Oh, yeah. Really? I need to get out of here.
That's weird.
All the time.
I don't know people who are that grandiose that they feel like they need to make a fucking announcement that they're leaving, as opposed to like, I'm definitely going to make sure I go around to my immediate people, say goodbye, give a hug, give a dap, whatever, on the way out. But like, I'm not going to make no fucking announcement. If I can sneak out, I'll do that too.
But and then this is the cousin of that. Say in a group thread, if you're trying to get a group of people to do something or meet up or something like that, I don't do only tell me if you can. If you can't, we don't. I'd love to, but I ain't gonna be able to make it. I gotta do some homework tonight. Y'all have no. If Nikki had a group thread with maybe 10 of us, hey, we want to get together and meet up and do such and such. Oh, I can't do it. I don't do that. I will directly message her and let her know I ain't gonna be able to make it. But I'm not gonna do I ain't gonna be able to make it over the whole group thread. Because I want as many people who are able to participate, and I don't want my excuse to become other people's excuse.
And that's a good point, because I think a lot of people don't think about that, that actually happens, but I think it probably happens more than we think it happens. One person's no is permission for another person to say no or back out or come up with an excuse. I mean, because we are sometimes kind of pressured into doing things based on other people's possible involvement, but that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that.
And if I'm coming and I know I'm coming, then bet I'll be there. And I'm gonna put that because I want to promote I want to actually promote it, the positivity of it. And if you're trying to get inclusion, then I want to promote that inclusion.
Yeah, because who else is going to be over there anyway? So
right.
It's like if this person ain't there, I ain't going. If he's there, I'll be there.
Right. And if I can't, then I'm not gonna say nothing. Like I will talk to that person directly, but telling people over the group thread don't do that. Poor etiquette, which that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I see it all the time.
I agree.
That's all I got. Anything else? Anybody got any other things?
If neither one of y'all do, I'll throw out a couple just bullet points of things that I thought were not even discussion wise, but saying please and thank you. Literally, please and thank you. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Please and thank you goes a long way. Please and thank you. That's it. Please and thank you. Being mindful of, sending your food back, right? Like there are some people I will never go out to eat with because they have horrible restaurant etiquette. They treat the waiter or waitresses like shit. They send their food back all the time. There's something wrong with their food. They are not even just cheap tippers, but they're those people who, when you have to, pay on one bill, will try to get out of paying any kind of tip. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll argue with the gratuity automatically being added.
For customer service just so that they can lowball them when it comes to either they want a discount or they don't want to tip them the same way. So they act like the service wasn't good. It's like, stop.
I can't deal with people like that. I love to go out to eat too much. I love food too much. Like I like to support small businesses with every purchase that I make. Like, so it's important for me to have a good experience around food.
I've cussed people out before in drive-throughs when people getting an attitude with the person who taking the order. Like, yo, no, you're not gonna get no attitude with them making my food in your bag at the same. No.
Right, get mad at me.
Look, I will cancel my order. I'll go inside and order my food. I ain't lumping my food. Ain't no telling what they're gonna do to your food. You over here getting attitude and do to my food too. Like, no, you better get it together.
And it's likely it's gonna be something. Shit. Yep, I agree. I agree.
Food, I know. I didn't do that, but I've seen a lot of people do some stuff.
Yeah, I remember going many years ago with a group from work, and one of the newer women with us, they weren't expecting a group of like 25 of us to hit them at once. And we did, and our service was slow, but because whatever the event was, management was, we weren't having to get back in an hour time. All of our hours were going to get paid out or whatever. But this relatively new person with us was complaining from top to bottom, changed up her order, made it very special instead of straight off the menu, and then had the audacity not only to do this, but to show it around the table. Instead of giving a tip, she put, "Here's your tip, never fry bacon naked," on the receipt. Put a 0 balance, and here's your tip, never fry bacon naked, and thought it was hilarious. And everybody at the table was like,
and the waitress said the waiter ain't the one making your food.
Yeah, I was like, hold on. And I mean, y'all know, some of y'all know me. I was like, are you kidding me? You obviously have never served in your freaking life. Like,
right.
That wasn't the waiter's fault. We came in with a group of 25 of us and hit them last second. You ordered everything a la carte and specialized, and then any little thing that was wrong with it, then you wondering why yours took a minute and a half longer than everybody else's to hit the table, and then you complained about everything. And then you still not, well, he's making plenty of money off of all of y'all. And I'm like, no, actually he's making $2.13 an hour and whatever we give him. And we've sat here for 3 hours now, taking up this man's tables for 3 hours. They are obviously sure. I mean, I laid it all out. And by the time it was, oh, you don't think I should do that? And she picked it up and scratched through it. I'm like, yeah, you better put some cash behind that. I'm like, what? But a lot of people don't know. They don't know. And Nikki, your thing about having a good experience is very much like me. When I prepare and serve food, that is a love language. I'm doing that because I'm sharing a piece of my heart with somebody. Like that's
Nikki
when I cook for somebody. That's massive. What's that?
So Nikki Show has some love in that food she be making.
Yeah, there's a whole thing to it. So to have somebody, to be out to eat with somebody like that, oh, it's so disheartening. Like, go to McDonald's and go get you a drive-through Happy Meal or something. Like, it's terrible restaurant etiquette.
I was at a drive-through earlier at McDonald's, and this guy, he got very rude with the drive-through lady at the first window because of the fact that the code that he had that he used, I guess, to pay for his food in advance, it didn't pop up on the lady's system. And he was like, "What's taking you so long, ma'am? Like, just give me my card." And he literally, like, when she tried to explain to him, the system is really running slow. And he had the nerve to come back and at her talking about, "Oh, I used to work here. I know how it is. It's not that slow." And then when she tried to give him back the card, he was like, "Give me this card, B." And then he just drove off.
Oh man, why you gotta be like that?
Yeah, I'm like,
that's messed up.
Yeah,
I ain't never had them problems when I work there. I just had a look on my face like, this job ain't that important. You can get it at any time.
Right.
But I mean, that's messed up. We live in a society now where you don't know if that's that person's first job or their third job that they've worked today. Because trying to make ends meet, living in Austin, Texas, especially in places like this where the damn cost of living is so high, we don't ever have any idea what other people are going through. And there's definitely times where all of us, me included, get caught in that off at the wrong day, wrong time, and but I always try and catch myself, because it ain't nobody else's fault. Whatever's going on in my life, especially if they're a stranger like that. Right. They didn't do it. Whoever got up and pissed in my Cheerios that morning, it wasn't them. Ain't no point in taking it out on them.
Right.
Yeah. See, and that's where I don't get people passes on that. I'm like, you just a jerk. That's why. So this is my rule. If you can refrain from doing it to any person, then you can refrain from doing it to every person. You don't like. I disagree with selective crazy. I don't respect it. Oh, you crazy, you want to go at me, but if you seen this person, so that was my whole thing with Will Smith. Oh, you gonna smack Chris Rock? You wouldn't have smacked Jerry Seinfeld. You wouldn't have smacked Billy Crystal. You wouldn't have smacked, The Rock. Like you pick who you think is an easier target to, and then so I can't respect halfway crazy. I respect people who crazy. Like I fight people that's smaller than me, that's bigger than me. I fight, like I have friends, they'll fight 5 people at once. Like, dog, we not gonna win this fight. what you doing? He really crazy.
They don't care.
That crowbar don't mean nothing to me. I'm like, it means something to me. Let's go.
Well, we was telling stories like that when I was in New Orleans last week. I'm
not. Well, I have friends that was like, yeah, he really crazy because they just don't care. But anyway, that's my whole point. So don't tell me that, I just had a bad day. No, because you don't. If you don't pop off at your boss like that, right, you don't have to pop off at this person either.
True.
You pick and choose when you think you can get away with doing certain things, and I don't respect that.
And I don't know how much y'all have discussed home etiquette, intimate partner etiquette, but that is definitely, if you can maintain and control yourself outside this house to keep that damn job, then you can maintain and control your damn self inside this household, inside this relationship, to keep your position here too.
Absolutely.
If you got enough anger management control to control it when you're out there in the wild, when you come and bring it back home to me, you better be able to do the same damn thing.
No, that's facts.
True.
If I ain't got to cuss my boss out, then why would I cuss my girl out? That don't make no sense.
Because you can. At least in your mind, you think that you can.
Right. And that's selective.
Whack.
I don't like that. Yeah.
Whack.
And it's backwards too. I thought about that even when I was younger. Why would I treat the people who mean the most to me? Why would I treat them the least?
I've thought about that a whole lot. I think that a lot of the time it happens because those are the people that they feel safest with. That even if they do lose their shit, they blow up at them, they whatever, those are the people that they feel safest with, that they will be forgiven and they will not be excommunicated from the household, the family, the whatever. Right. And therefore, it becomes, instead of learning better ways of coping with those feelings and gaining more emotional intelligence, they just vent to the ones that they feel safe venting.
That's just a poor way of thinking. I would never treat my boss better than I treat my mother, better than I treat my sisters, and better than I treat my spouse. Never.
Yep. Straight up.
Those are my children, my spouse, my family. Those are the most important people. Nobody, not a pastor, not a boss, not anybody I know, nobody gets treated better than my inner circle.
Yep.
And if you learn to treat everybody well, then that kind
of you don't struggle with that issue.
Right. And then also that's full circle. Ultimately, like, look, I ain't gonna treat nobody on the outside better than I treat my people on the inside. Yeah. And if I could treat them well, then I could treat, like, it just comes full circle. Well, why don't you just treat everybody with respect? That's the ultimate answer you should get to. Like, why not just be respectful to everybody?
Yeah, I had somebody that there was a time when I thought that him treating the inner circle better than anybody in the outer circle was a commendable thing, because it makes you feel important, but it's not. You literally treat everybody else like shit except the people that you care about. That is not a good characteristic. That's not a good characteristic, man. I try to treat everybody righteously and respectfully and peacefully and with an energy of love until you give me a reason not to. Right. And then when you do so, then it's going to be very distinctively obvious that I don't fuck with you, and I make it very clear. Right. But like, I would never just, like, I'm more concerned about hurting the people I love before I be ever concerned about hurting somebody I don't love. Like, I couldn't imagine having a reckless tongue with my partner just because it's my partner and he'll forgive me later. Like, that makes me cringe to think that I would verbally be abusive to a partner just because they're my partner, but I'm nice to the fucking mailman or the person in traffic or anybody else for that matter, when really they're thinking doesn't
that's some of
matter
the
at
most
all.
confusing stuff you ever see. I had this crazy ex once upon a time, and you just see them be nice to everybody else. I'm like, for real? Oh, so you could do this with everybody else,
man, right?
I'm the one, you're gonna give me hell every single chance you get, but you can act nice around everybody else that you. I'm like, man, that's
them.
But it kind of goes back when you some of your friends, just want to fight whoever, 5 people, whatever. Okay, I got respect for the fact that's just who you are. But if you can show that you can control all that,
selective. I don't do the selective stuff. Yeah,
I mean,
now, if you crazy with everybody. Now I did. My cousin, he had a girlfriend. She was crazy with everybody. At least I like. There was nobody she wasn't crazy with. Like she didn't even try to mask it. I'm like, okay, that's who you are. I can respect it because I'm like, you consistent.
I mean, I know people I've worked with for 4 or 5 years who never heard me cuss in the boardroom. That's not where that's not appropriate for that. If I can control it there, sure, I can control it outside of that. I choose not to.
But I enjoy cussing. So I do it in spaces that I do it in spaces that
there's certain things that are a space and time thing, and then just the general respect and kindness and treatment of others is a whole different game.
All right, so we have hit 2 hours, so I ain't do a hard close, but this is just a close.
Yeah, no, it was good. I think this was a super productive conversation. I think that we hit some really good topics and some points.
You had some good stuff, Nikki. You had some really good stuff.
Thanks.
Especially with the spoilers on the social media. I was like,
that's just one of those. I'll never understand how people don't get that is so rude and inconsiderate. And I think that that's the word, inconsiderate. My dad raised us to be very considerate people, and like being considerate versus inconsiderate was a huge pet peeve of my dad's. And so I don't know how to be inconsiderate. I could be what some people may call a bitch sometimes, right? If you don't like what I say or don't like my mannerisms or maybe how I go about certain things. But I don't think there's anybody that can call me an inconsiderate person. And so a lot of these quirks and a lot of these things that we're talking about really define you as a considerate person or an inconsiderate person.
That's true.
And an inconsiderate person, you are a part of the problem that we have in society right now. Like really and truly, you are a part of the problem. So I think that the points that we hit tonight were great points. I'm glad that we did a part 2 because we didn't even barely touch the surface last week. I don't feel like. So I think tonight's was a good
stuff
recap.
We talked about this time. We didn't. It was totally different from what we talked about last week.
Oh yeah, completely different points this time. Absolutely. Well, that's what's up. I'm glad y'all joined us. It was good. Edward, I'm glad you joined, even though you were late. I'm glad you tapped in tonight. Jules, I'm glad you tapped in tonight too. Just a quick little side note. I know Ivory wasn't here obviously tonight, but I got to meet Ivory Thanksgiving weekend. She had come down, and I just think it's so fucking amazing to meet people that have shared this space with us for so long. And it's like we're regular ass people, like just regular old people, man. But when you meet people who you've been doing this with for a long time or for any period of time, it's just the coolest shit ever. So we took a picture. It's kind of a crazy picture, so we didn't post a picture, but it was really cool too. It was really cool to meet Ivory, and she is extremely tiny. She is very short, but she's got the sweetest energy ever. So I just I wanted to just take the time to say thanks for bringing her over, and I'm glad you guys made some time to come over to the house that night and pick up some dessert. And she reached out a couple days later, so that was just dope. Like very considerate. It was very sweet. I thought it was cool, and it's been exciting to meet different people over the course of the years, especially people who are not locals. linking up with some of the non-local free thinker folks. So
right.
Yeah, because one of the times you've traveled, a couple of times you've traveled, you've made a point to.
She went up to our hometown without my permission. They didn't even check in with me first.
Yeah, I met Matt that weekend. I'm determined to get to Atlanta to meet Tiara one of these days. I mean, it's just Atlanta, you know. So trying to get to Atlanta one of these days, meet Tiara. But it was cool. That was a really cool experience. You know, that's free thinkers for you, man. I mean, you come every Tuesday, you come every once in a blue moon Tuesdays. It's always gonna be some good stuff happening around here.
And be on the lookout. Once a quarter, we're gonna try to meet in person once a quarter, at least once every 3 months. I think I want to
do that too. Yeah, I want to do that too. And I was gonna, and I'll call you later too. But I thought about maybe us having like a Christmas party. You know, maybe we should have a last minute, you know, kind of Christmas party or something. We've talked about a few things, doing like a live party, like a membership subscription party, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can do that for the Christmas holiday. But definitely want to, you know, have some new ideas and some new things coming up in the 2023 new year. As far as I can tell, we're going to have the rest of our Tuesday nights, you know, as planned for the rest of this year, but we need some topic ideas. So for anybody who's still watching us, shoot us some topic ideas. There is a ton of great stuff over on the Free Thinkers Facebook page right now. So go over there, read some of the posts, share some information. You know, we don't really shy away from any topics. So if you find something on the page that you're like, man, why did they talk about this? Bring it on a Tuesday. Message us. Let us know if you got some ideas. Share the page. Join both places, the Free Thinkers Facebook page and the YouTube channel. All the conversations take place on the Facebook page. All the login information is always on the Facebook page. I think we're up to like 76 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
We need to go and get to 100. We need to go and get to 100.
We got to get to 100 before the year is over. So subscribe, share. And that's pretty much all I got. But I just want to thank you guys for coming tonight, and thank you for giving us your time always, and you know, having these conversations. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday, same time, same place.
Good night.
Good night.